No chance now.
Nope. Done and gone. Hey guys, we are live. Thank you for coming to Author Chat. Thank you. Is it still Sarah? So
It's
you have
Sariah.
Sariah. Ooh,
Just
I
like
like
Mariah, but with an S. Yeah, that happens
I
all the
like
time.
that. I like that because like every time I went to tag you in something, I was like, wait, no, it's not Sarah. It's got an I in there somewhere.
Yep.
So we are here today with the author of Roommade. And I mean, you guys know I don't generally read adult titles, and this one came in from what is it, Monolake Publishing, which is part of Amazon. And I was like, well, you know what? I'll give it a try. And I read, I think, about a chapter and a half, and then I contacted Sariah.
Yeah.
That's going to take me some time to get used to. Sariah, to see if she would come on the show, and she said she would, and I was so excited. And then I finally just yesterday sat down and read like the entire thing, and I loved it. It was crazy, and I know I must have just blew up your Instagram account completely.
Well, it's a nice thing to have happen, so thank you. And I'm sorry about almost killing you with the bacon.
Oh God, it's like every time I would have a drink, I would have coffee, or I would start to eat lunch, and I didn't want to put it down, so I was just eating and drinking, sitting in my chair here, and then something would come up, and I would snort or laugh, and it doesn't mix well with food at
It
all.
doesn't.
It doesn't whatsoever. It's just a bad combination. I even put that in my review. It's like, do not eat or drink
Thank you.
anything while
I
you read
saw
this
that.
because you might die, because
Yeah.
it is just every other page or so, or every other paragraph, there's just something for you to crack up with, and it's not a good idea to eat or drink anything during this book because you're just going to laugh so much. I loved it. It was great. All right. So, of course, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I waited until yesterday to read this, and I'm just like, I read it so fast, and I'm so excited, and I love it. And now I need more. So,
Well, I have lots of other books you can go buy.
yes,
So,
I went on to Amazon. I'm like, okay, yep, wish list, just adding everything to my wish list because ooh, I'm addicted now.
well, that's
So,
good. That's what I was going for. So I'm glad it worked.
so guys that are watching, you guys know the drill. If you're new here, you can toss your questions into the comments below. If for some reason YouTube decides that it's not going to let you do that, you can tag me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and I will find your questions. Post them and I will find them. And oh, there goes my phone. It's like, whoa, questions.
Coming in already.
All right. So we're going to start this off with something that I need to know. And I kind of wish that this book had pictures. If you had to choose somebody that is within the world of actors, so it'd be easier to figure out who to choose, what male actor that's currently out would you choose for Tyler? Because I need to know what this man looks like.
I would choose a younger Chris Evans. So
Okay.
someone who's kind of like exceptionally beautiful, like kind of would make you stop. Like if Chris Evans was your roommate, like would you not freak out?
Right.
So
Especially like a younger Chris Evans.
yes. Like because Chris is, I love him, but he's a little old for Tyler. So
Right. So, like, seriously, like every time that they talked about him, like, okay, we need like footnotes or something. Imagine this person.
well, I also like doing that where you get to imagine, because
Right.
you get to put it in your own head. And I kind of leave some stuff vague so you can kind of picture for yourself what people look like. I like that better when I read. So I think I do that when I write.
And that's nice. That's really nice because, it's the whole beauty is in the eye of the beholder type thing. So then it works for whatever you think is attractive, not just, one standard for everybody.
Right.
So that works. That's nice. And it also, like, if it did get picked up as a movie or whatever, they could pretty much cast whoever within those roles because they don't have any real facial features type thing other
Right.
than, what is it? Panty dropping hot or something.
That's right. That's your only requirement. So get on it, Hollywood.
I will say, like, if you guys are looking for a very light read, this is definitely something to pick up. You will finish it in a day. I'm sorry for that, but it's going to happen because once you start, you're not going to be able to stop. and it's just that good, and you will completely crack up laughing. Very few times are there books where like I get finished with it and I want to start back over at page 1, and this is definitely one of those books. I just want to drop everything and just reread it because I'm so excited. A friend of mine actually just finished it about an hour ago because I have it on my Kindle because I grabbed it last month for the Amazon First Reads.
Right.
And I had grabbed it and like, well, I have it in print and ARC. You know what? This is the only one that looks interesting. I'll just go ahead and grab it. So she started reading it and she's like, I'm done. What do I do with my life?
Yeah, book hangover. Those are the best.
So this cover, did you get any input on this cover? Because this cover is adorable.
It's what they do is they give you like a few to choose from, you know, and I saw this one and I'm like, that's it. Like that one. And my editor's like, oh, that's my favorite too. Like, I feel like it's a test because she'll give me a bunch. She's like, tell me which one you like best. And then I'm like, she's like, I've already picked one. So I'm like, oh, please let it be the same. But yeah, so it was everybody's favorite from the beginning. So,
right? It's hard. A friend of mine that I've been helping her with her book, she sent me all these covers and I'm like, I'm at work and I'm looking at this and I'm like, you're killing me. How I need to like go scroll through these like in depth, blow them up on my iPad. And I'm just like looking on my phone. I'm like, that's hard to choose.
It is. And I mean, it has to convey like, the tone and the theme of the book. And, you know, you want it, is it good for marketing? Are people going to pick it up? And so there's a lot of factors to consider. So I was very pleased.
Especially after reading this, because it's like, you know, it's kind of vague, you know, before you know the story. And I'm like, okay, well, now I get it. All the Post-its and the dishwasher and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's like perfect. It's completely perfect for this story. They just pulled so many great elements from the story to put on the cover. So I mean, they did a fabulous job. Like A+.
Yeah.
A+. I love it. See, that made me feel really good because my animated GIF, I put all the bubbles in it.
Oh, that's so cute. I love it.
I don't know what the bubbles are for, but they're on the cover, so I'm just going to toss them in there. I'm like, oh, yes, that works.
Yeah, you did a good job. You got the right thing.
It's so hard to choose some of those on figuring out what to do with them, but it worked. I was like, yes. Let's see. I fell in love with the story and the way that they communicated with the Post-its. It was just completely adorable. How did you come about with all the themes in the story, from the Post-its to Madison just not knowing any life skills at all and just everything?
The Post-its was just kind of I don't know, like when you're writing, something just happens and you just put it in there and I'm like, oh, that would be cute. And it wasn't meant to be anything. It was just a way of them communicating because, you know, Tyler has to be off stage a lot in the beginning because that's the whole point of her moving in, is to watch Pigeon and clean up the apartment. And if he's there all the time, you know, but I'm like,
the purpose.
Right. So my editor's like, this is great, but like, I don't get Tyler. Like, you don't have enough of him in here. So it was partly me going back and saying, what can I do to have him be here more? Like, he's still on the page, even though he's in Hong Kong or whatever. Right. And so it was things like the list he leaves her and the Post-it notes. And so that's kind of how that happened. And then with her not being able to clean, this book is based on a Time magazine article from like 15 years ago. Like, there was like a phenomenon happening where this was a real thing. Guys who had houses or apartments were advertising for a roommate, someone to move in and clean up the apartment and maybe cook them dinner or whatever. And but there was enough of a thing happening that Time did an article about it. It's just one of those things where I saw it and I was like, that would be a good story idea. Let's file that away in my brain somewhere, you know. But then I thought, what makes it funny and what makes it cute is, what if she doesn't know how to clean? So how does someone not know how to clean anything? I thought, so I have to give her a background where it's believable. And even then I had reviews that were like, nobody is this incompetent. Nobody doesn't know how to clean stuff. And I'm like, you'd be surprised. You know, there are people who are raised where it's never an issue. I mean, I was in college with these girls, you know, who did not know how to wash anything, who did use Dawn's soap on the windows. They thought that, you know, that would clean them. So these are like real things that happen. But so I thought, yeah, that makes it cute. And it makes it a cute setup that she is kind of lying, doesn't know what she's doing, but she's so desperate for a place to live that she says, yeah, I know how to do that. It's fine. So
I love the setup of the story because, you know, it just starts off with so much humor. You know, her aunt is, you know, having her look for apartments, and then, you know, her aunt has like, you know, that look, and she's like, okay, what, you know, like, what's the catch? And there's like, oh, well, someone was murdered in the apartment. Oh yeah. Like a haunted apartment is the last thing she needs. So it's like, I love the entire setup of this. And like that whole twist at the end, I won't give any
Yes, no
spoilers away,
spoilers.
but like that twist at the end, it's like I was kind of leaning towards what that was, but I was like, no, no, that's not gonna happen. And then it's like when it happens and it's like a slap in the face, and you're like, no.
Yeah. I got a professional reviewer who was like, this twist came out of nowhere. And I'm like, fool, I set that up in the first chapter. Like it has been in like whatever. Like you didn't read it very closely because, it's there. I hope it surprises you, but
But it still surprised me. Well, it's like I've watched a lot of like the Hallmark movies
yeah,
and Lifetime movies and stuff, and a lot of those deal with that kind of twist type thing. And but you usually know beforehand that it's going on, and this you don't really know. It's
yeah,
kind of hinted at, but it's like, okay, that's why she did this, this, and that.
yeah.
It's like that's why she did A, B, and C, not to give it completely away. And I just loved it because like that whole reveal, when she's going to the party and everything's happening, and it's just like, the shit has hit the fan. Oh crap, she runs out. You are just bawling tears of sadness because this is going on, and you think she's been betrayed, and then you find out, everything else, and it works out so well.
Well,
So
I'm glad you liked it.
I know on my post for Instagram, I'm like, yeah, she's gonna rip out your heart, she's gonna shove it in a blender, she's gonna hit the button, and then scoop it up and shove it back in there, because that's just like the entire end of this
That's the
story.
goal. That's the goal for the reader. So
But it's like you hit it, A plus.
thank you.
I know I've been the friend I've been helping with editing her book and stuff, and it's like, I feel so bad now because I'm like you authors, I want if the fans and stuff after they read this, if they aren't in a puddle of sadness and tears, it hasn't worked.
Yeah, you want to get to that point where they are so caught up emotionally in it, because otherwise people don't connect and they don't like it. They're like, it was fine. But you want a book that people are just like sinking their teeth into and like, oh my gosh, they're happy and they're sad. Like that's important to try and do. And it's not always easy. It's a very difficult thing to do, actually, I think. So, but it's hard to get there, but when it works, it works. So
it worked, that's for sure. Tears of sadness, laughing, choking on food. It had everything. So did you find yourself like through parts of this, bawling in tears of sadness, or?
no, this one, no. There have been some that I've done that or I'm like emotionally caught up in it. But this one, I think because I planned it so well and I knew exactly what was going to happen, it's much easier to not get emotionally caught up in it when you know exactly everything behind it. And just trying to convey, like, I'm always impressed with my friends, like, oh, I just sat and sobbed and wrote. And I'm like, how do you see the keyboard if you're crying? But yeah, I mean, it does happen for me, or stuff that makes me giggle. And if it makes me laugh, I'm like, well, hopefully that'll make a reader laugh too. If I'm enjoying it, or stuff that I think is flirty and fun and romantic. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But yeah, because sometimes it just comes out. Sometimes stuff just appears. Like most of the time everything's planned, but something will just pop in your head. And you're like, oh, that's really good. And it's cool to write it down and have it be in there.
It's so good. Like seriously, I want to just reread it now because it was just so good. Oh, goodness. Let's see. So I know you have another book coming out next year that, of course, I'm trying to get my hands on. The cover of that one is adorable.
So cute, right?
It's so cute. Oh my God.
So
it's so cute. Like, first thing I did when I noticed that you had another book come out, I went to like Idlewise and Netcat. I'm like, it's not on here. Crap.
I think it'll be a while. I think it comes out in April. So it'll be a while before it's up.
Okay. So are you like done with it or not? Oh, okay. So.
And I am so excited about the sequel. Like, I know we shouldn't be talking about it yet, but it's based on a real life thing that happened to me. This past January, I was at the SAG-AFTRA Awards, like in the bleachers, meeting celebrities and like getting autographs. And it was so fun. I mean, like childhood heroes are coming through, like, Henry Winkler and Carrie Elwes from Princess Bride and Helena Bonham Carter, and I'm just like, hey, good luck. It's so nice to meet you. Can I have an autograph? I'm totally fine, right? It's cool, but I'm like, fine. Adam Driver walks over and I'm like, brain turns off. Now, I am a fan of his, so I know he has social anxiety. He does not want to make small talk with you. And I'm like, he's asking me questions and I'm like, oh, he's like, where are you from? I'm like, why do you want to know that? Like, I literally thought that in my head. Like, I could not function. And I was there with my 12-year-old daughter and she was so cute. Like, he signed this really long autograph for her. It was so sweet to her. and took pictures with us. And you can go to my Instagram and you can see I've got like video and pictures of that. It's really cool. But he walks away and I'm like, this is a book. This is a book. You know, someone meets her favorite actor and like freaks out and shuts down. And so she works as a seat filler because, you know, those award shows, the seats can't ever be empty. The producers don't like it. But, you know, actors go out to the bar to get a drink, they get their award and they go backstage. You know, there's always seats being emptied. So they have seat fillers who are volunteers come in and sit there. So you can be sitting next to a celebrity. And it's just totally fun, but it's like this long thing, like you're there all day. I've done all this research about it. And I thought, so she's a seat filler and she sits next to her favorite actor. And he's so kind of like arrogant. Like Adam Driver was really nice. Let me clear that up. Like he was sweet. But he's just kind of arrogant and thinks she's stalking him or something because he doesn't know about seat fillers. And she's just mad. And she tells him like, I don't even know who you are. And of course she knows exactly who he is. But she, you know, is just trying to take his ego down a peg. So he becomes interested in her and kind of starts pursuing her. So yeah, but that's kind of the basis of that story. Was like, you know,
it's kind of like an enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now I need even more because that's like my favorite romance trope. So I need it.
Yeah, you do. Cause it's probably like my favorite book I've written so far now. Like it just was so much fun. So it's really cute.
Man. Let's see. So the next thing, of course, is are there going to be any follow-ups to this one? Because we need some side stories.
I mean, I set it up that way. I fully intend for Delia and Shay to have their own stories, you know. It just depends on my publisher and what they want to publish and what they want from me. And if they don't want sequels, they don't want sequels. And then I have to try and find time in my writing schedule to maybe put it out myself. Right. But, you know, I did set it because people are like, you didn't finish the story. And I'm like, well, actually, I set it up because if I finished the stories of Delia and Shay, there wouldn't be any chance for a sequel. So that's my hope, is to be able to write their stories.
It would be really cool to have like a little prequel novella or something about Pigeon.
That would be fun.
How she ended up with Tyler. I think that would be so cute. And how did you come up with her name? Because like under the sun, you could have chosen Pigeon.
That is my Aunt Pixie. Her nickname is Pixie. Her name is Adana, but she's my dad's sister, his only sister. So she doesn't have any children. So there's like 9 kids in my family. We were her kids.
Oh, wow.
And our kids are like her grandchildren. Like she comes to all our events and she's just an amazing person. But she lost her dog, Maya, and then they adopted another dog, and the dog's name was Pigeon. And she's just so cute. She's like a mixed lab poodle. And she just is such a sweet girl. And she's like, we're going to change her name. But they're like, they didn't change her name. It's like, it's just her name. They call her Pidge. And I'm like, that's such a cute nickname. And so that's why I decided to name the dog Pigeon. If you look at the dedication, it's dedicated to my aunt and her dog.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Is that even in here? This is the ARC, so I wasn't sure if it was in there or not. Is it in here? Oh, it is. It says for my Aunt Pixie and her pigeon. Oh, yeah. It's like all the side characters. You know, I need like a little stuffed dog with a little pigeon toy in his mouth now. It's like was it the bone house? Like anytime I see that now, I will automatically comment on their post, bone goat, because the bone goat is like the coolest goat of all the goats.
That's right.
And Pigeon is like the most adorable dog ever.
It's so funny people say that. Like I've never owned a dog. I've never owned a dog, and I don't know. I kind of based it on dogs I saw around me. People are like, it's so cute. I'm like, well, yay, because I don't know what I'm talking about. So I'm glad it works out.
I just like the cutest thing. I think like the first cutest thing in that book was when Pigeon grabbed her blanket and her toy and brought it into Madison's room to sleep with her. I was like, whoa.
Yep. It's kind of the whole like symbolism thing that as you see Pigeon's feelings start to change, that Tyler's feelings start to change a little. And, you know, it's important that his dog loves her because he loves Pigeon so much. And so that's kind of why it's in there.
That's so cute. It was so cute. But yeah, like, so totally side stories. I definitely need them from her friends. Everybody gets their happily ever after. I would love it. Love it, love it, love it.
I would too. Just need more hours in my day.
Right? Man, I know that. There's never enough hours in the day.
There's not.
Let's see. So it looks like we might finally be going back to some kind of normal. I know down here in Florida, we're entering phase 3 and they repelled all the mask stuff, even though, as you said earlier, a lot of places are still going to require them. People are not happy about that, but you know, they'll survive. So what do you think the first thing you want to do when life gets back to, normal, that you want to like run out of the house and go do something?
I People are like, this is so abnormal. I am a huge introvert, and I have said in
Mhm.
the past, like, I'm pretty sure I could go into solitary confinement in prison as long as I had books and paper and pen. I think I'd be fine. People are like, I would lose my mind. It'd make me go crazy. I'm like, I really think I'd be fine. So this has actually been okay for me. Like, I'm happy at home. Like, this is where I want to be anyways. And my husband's like, let's go ahead and do stuff. I'm like, no, thanks. Let's just stay here.
You're like me, that before this happened, I was just at home. I would get up, I would sit in my chair, I would do book reviews, do posts, do social media. I never really went anywhere other
Yeah.
than the weekends because that was the one day my husband has off. I work, so
Hmm.
we go like Universal and stuff or go to a movie. And now it's like, now I have a job. So it's like, that's the only other place I'm going. So being home, you see like these big long strolls of things on Facebook that these people are like, I have to get out of my house. And
Yeah.
like,
I'm not that
you
person.
have this beautiful house with an in-ground pool. I would never leave.
Yeah.
Go groceries. I'll give you a list. Here's the list.
Yeah.
Go grab it. I'm good. I don't need to go anywhere.
That's how I feel about it. So I'm okay. I think I do miss going to like writing conferences. Like I would do that
Mhm.
a couple times a year and getting to see like my agent and my publisher and I didn't get to do that at all this year. And that I really missed out on. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's like all the other stuff. So being inside with COVID and all this stuff, have you been reading? What have you been reading? Are there any recommendations you can give us?
I'm funny. I don't like to read a lot in my genre because I'm always afraid that I'm gonna like
Yeah,
unconsciously
I hear
take
that a lot.
something and put it, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
Because I love rom-coms, so it's hard for me. I'm like, I need to stay away so I don't take something. My favorite right now is like YA fantasy, and
Yeah.
I devour that stuff. And I'm in the middle of reading Cursed, the
Okay. I haven't
Netflix
read.
thing.
Yeah, I haven't
It's
read that
Thomas
one.
somebody. I don't remember his last name.
Yeah.
But I watched the Netflix thing and I'm like, all right, I need to read this book now. I need to see what happens. This is crazy. So I'm in the middle of that and I'm loving that. That's really good.
So does it, I haven't read it yet. Does it, I have it. I do have it.
And
I've not read it. Does it follow the series?
it's like exactly like as far as
Right?
I am, like it's
Uh-huh.
exactly like the series. So I don't know if this book ends where the series ends. Like, is that the end
That's
of this
what I was
book?
wondering.
I don't know. That's why I got it because I'm like, I need to
Right?
know. Does it keep going? Is there some spoilers here for the Weeping Monk and
Yeah,
Arthur
because I
and
mean,
Nimue? And
because the book
I'm
is
looking
a
for it.
standalone. It's not a series.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
the series ends on a cliffhanger. So
Yeah.
like, if this book ends on a cliffhanger, it's a standalone. That's bad.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
kind of
not
curious to
good.
see. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm
'cause,
not
like,
there
that was
yet.
the first thing that I did. I went on to Goodreads and, like, looked at it. It was like, "Wait a second, that book's a standalone." So now I was like, "Okay, Netflix, what you doing?
Yeah. So
You
it'll be
killing
interesting to
us."
see. I love the Netflix series. I thought that was fantastic.
So have you been reading, is that it, or have you been reading, like, anything else?
I'm usually just one person. Oh, I just read stuff. Hold on. Let me get on my phone because I don't remember the titles. What did I just read?
Oh god, I don't know titles either. I can be looking at the
Yeah.
book and I can still post it wrong, and then I
Yeah.
check it and I'm like, "Crap."
Let's see. I'm reading Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop, and I'm really enjoying that one so far. I just read One to Watch, and it's about a woman who's plus size who gets picked to be on a bachelor type show. And that was really
Um,
good. I really enjoyed it because it was very positive. Like she's very happy with who she is. I mean, some of the men are really mean to her, like really mean, like horrible
right,
things are said. And of course, the media is awful, and trolls online are
of
awful.
course.
But I really enjoyed her being a heroine who was so much like just proud of herself and thought she was beautiful. Like she's really into fashion, and so she is always dressing. What do I wear that makes me look the best and makes me feel good about myself? That's the point of fashion, is to feel good about yourself.
Right.
So I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's cute. Well, if you're into YA fantasy, let me see. Book
Oh,
2
what you
just
got?
came in the mail. Let me get it in my stack over here. Ugh. I'm actually talking to this author for this book later this month, and it is book 2 to Coral, A Crown of Coral and Pearl. This is amazing.
I
It is
haven't heard of that
YA
one.
fantasy. Yeah, I don't have book 1 out here, and this, of course, doesn't have a picture of book 1. Yeah, Crown of Coral and Pearl. It is
Okay,
amazing, and
I'll have to check it out.
it ends on a cliffhanger ish type thing. So I'm like, this came in the mail today, and I'm like,
Read
how
it
bad?
now.
Yeah, it's like how bad would it be to completely flake on my calendar and just, I don't
Read this
even think
book.
I would have to, like, and this is, I mean, guys who are watching that know how my reading habits go, I don't think I would have to reread book 1 to read that one, to just pick it up and start reading it. That does
Yeah.
not generally happen because I
Yeah.
read so much. So unless I reread book 1, there is no way I'm going to read book 2. And that one, I think I could pretty much pick it up and just go with it,
That's
which
cool.
sounds it feels very weird to say that.
Yeah. Well, it means it's good. It means it's stuck in your head because I'm the same as you. Like,
Yeah.
there's YA fantasy that I read, and like a new book comes out, and I'm like, wait, what happened in book 1?
Yes,
And I don't
exactly.
remember. But I thought when it's a great book, you're like, I
Yeah.
know exactly what happened. Like, what's that one that came out with the girls who were the pirates? Is it Seafire? So I'm thinking, I don't
Yeah.
know if you've read that one. That was
Yeah.
fantastic. And I was able to pick up book 2 and just go. Like, because I remembered
Have
everything that
you read her
happened.
new book?
I haven't.
What is it? The Princess Will Save You?
I haven't read that one yet. I'll have to check that
Oh, it
one
was
too.
so good. That was so good because it's like a gender flopped Princess Bride.
Okay.
It was so good. Book She just released the cover of book 2. I'm like, I read most of that and I thought it was a standalone, and then I'm getting like towards the end, I'm like, well, this ain't wrapping up. What's
This
going
isn't
on? And then I
finishing. What's
realized,
happening?
it's a series. Well,
Yeah.
crap. Killing me. They're killing me.
That's their job.
Pretty much. I know, it's like I was telling Lori Forrest, she's the author of The Black Witch, and I'm baiting her newest book that's coming out next year, and I'm like, I'm gonna know this book like forward, backwards, upside downwards, and I'm never gonna be able to say that again about any other book because I've read the manuscript so many times.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. I'm gonna be able to write bios about these characters or something. It's because
Everything.
that's not what I normally do, so it's weird. So how many books in all have you wrote?
Oh gosh. Like 15? I don't
Oh,
know. It's a
wow.
lot. Yeah.
Are they all published with Monolake or no?
Some are with Montlake. Most of them are with Montlake. And I have a few that they had a little like indie press called Kindle Press, and it was part of Amazon.
Mhm.
It was kind of like maybe books that wouldn't fit with the bigger publishing houses. They would kind of
Mhm.
move there. And it was, I don't know if you heard of this, but they had this program called Kindle Scout a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was one of the first winners of that. And
Oh,
that's how I
cool.
got with Montlake, because they're like, why did you enter? And I'm like, well, I want to be with Montlake. I didn't have an agent. I hadn't really done anything. I done some indie books, and next thing I know, they're having now the woman I know now is in charge of Montlake. She's like the lead editor, like she's the boss, and she calls me. And so I thought it was just like a let's get to know you, network, open the door, and I thought it was, which I thought was wonderful, like what a nice gesture. And at
Mhm.
the end of the call, she's like, well, we're going to offer you a 2-book contract. And I'm like, what? Like, what's happening? Like, when I tell people this story, if you tell authors this story, they're going to be like, she's making that up. That didn't happen, because it doesn't happen. A publisher doesn't
Right.
call you and say, let's get you a contract. And to this day, Anna tells me, she's like, you're such a hard nut to crack. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I can get very emotional and passionate. It was just, didn't know what was happening. But yeah, so I got contracts with them, and then some like indie books that weren't right for them, I put out with Kindle Press, which was the press for Kindle Scout as well. And that's kind of where I've been. And I got an agent a couple of years ago, and she and I are kind of working towards, I want to stay with Montlake like forever. Like, as long as they'll have me, I'm going to be with them. But, they've encouraged me to publish a book or two with, another national publisher. And so we're kind of going out in that field and seeing what happens and trying some things, and we'll see.
So are all your books, like the new adult area?
They are. I do have a couple of YA, The Ugly Stepsister Strikes Back,
Oh,
and there's a sequel to it. And that's like one of my favorite books I've written too. It's just such a cute book.
I think I've seen that one. And there was another one. She's like the Promposal or something.
That's the sequel to
I've
that.
seen that one too.
Yeah.
I was like, because when I was looking, I was like, wait, I've seen this book.
Yeah. So that one, and then, but the rest are all like, it is new adult. For me, I like when people first fall in love. I like when it's like that out of college, or maybe still in college, and you really fall in love for the first time. Like, I know it can happen when you're in high school, but for most people, I think it tends to happen when you get to be, early 20s. And so
Right.
that's my favorite. And that's what I like reading. It's what I like writing. Like, I have friends who write, women in their 40s who are finding like that second romance. And I'm like, that's great. I don't know that I want to read it, like, even though that's my age or whatever, but I don't know. Just people have their preferences, and this is what I enjoy writing. I like that, everything being new. Like, you're just starting your career. You're just falling in love for the first time. And, you're really starting to come into your own, and it's coming of age type story. So I enjoy that.
I love it. I love it so much. And the other book is like, it's screaming for me. I can hear it.
It is. You want it.
Jessica, you need to read me. Find me. Read me.
Well, I have to make sure I get you on my with my publicist so you can make sure you get the next one when it comes out.
Yes. Well, this one I don't even think I requested this. It just showed up. They do that every once in a while. And I'm like, ooh, new books. Thank you.
I'll take it. Yeah.
I will take it. And it's like, it looks so cute.
It is. It's so fun.
I'm just so excited that I loved it because, I don't read a lot of adult titles. I think the last adult title that I read was from Harlequin, and I'm going to butcher the title. I think it was like Now Then Always by Mona Schroff, maybe?
Okay.
I'm horrible at titles, and that one was adorable, and it's kind of like around the same age as this, but they're these ages, but it was a second chance romance, but it was really cute. It's so cute. So
see, there are good adult ones out there. You just have to find them.
There are. Just they need to come hunt me down.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I totally enjoyed this. I cannot wait for the finished copy. Is the finished copy any different than from the ARC or? No,
I mean, there's some corrections. Like I was going through it and going, oh my gosh, look at these mistakes, but so there's a couple of things there were some mistakes that had already been corrected, but weren't before the arc went out. So it's
mild,
exactly the same. Yeah.
Mild corrections.
I mean, if you still want to buy the regular book, that's fine. I won't protest or anything. So
it is sitting in my wish list for things that I need to buy the next time I get an Amazon gift card.
Yeah. You can go win some people. People have contests for that kind of stuff all the time. Go win one.
They do.
Authors do it all the time.
It's insane. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Definitely have to get that next book. Guys, join us Saturday at, I'm going to say 6 p.m. I got my cheat thing here with YouTube open. Yes, October 3rd, 6 p.m. We are going to be talking to the author of Many Names. And she actually sent me 2 copies of this, so I have a giveaway. You guys can win these copies, and they are signed. So I knew her as Katie Cross. She is the author of the Girl in the Steel Corset series. If you haven't read it, definitely do so. And now she's with a new imprint of Wednesday Books, and she's under this new name that I lost it. Kate McLaughlin. I probably butchered that. And it is What Unbreakable Looks Like. She also does adult titles as well. She that's going to be like that's her new title, the author of Many Names.
Sure, she'll appreciate that.
And she will be on here Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys tune in. And thank you again for watching.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks for having me.